and welcome to my podcast. I'm your host, Mike Doherty, and this is Mr. Blackheart. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and listening to Mr. Blackheart, my first episode. I am your host, Mike, and I'm the one that they call Mr. Blackheart. For a little background information might be helpful for that as to why it's called Mr. Blackheart. My first job out of college, which was my last job, they gave me the nickname Blackheart and Robot or Mr. Robot. But I kind of didn't love the name Robot for a podcast. And there's already an incredible show called Mr. Robot, which, sidebar, if you haven't seen it, you should. It's amazing. And what's his face? Who's Rami Malek? He's like gorgeous. So you should probably watch that. But I didn't feel like that would be like a good idea to use a well-known TV show name as your podcast name. So Mr. Blackheart, it is. And I felt like it was kind of like cool and edgy and artsy. And it also just like puts it right on the table, that like this bitch is soulless. So we're gonna start with that. We're gonna lead with it, and we're just gonna lean into it, be adults, and like own it. Like thank you, Mike. Shout out, not me. Like my manager's name was Mike. It's a very common name, if you don't know. But yeah, so I feel like this episode is kind of like our first date, and I feel like for normal people, a first date in my mind for like two normal people is like them sitting at a dinner table, like awkward and not sure what to do. And like maybe she has to fart, but she like can't because like, she's a lady and they're trying to like not look at their phone for at least an hour. But then as soon as someone goes to the bathroom, they're like on their phone looking at Tinder like, is this really worth it? And then, a few months later, they start letting their freak flag fly, like maybe she finally or he finally goes to the bathroom, like number two at her place, or maybe it's a gay or lesbian couple and there's two he's or hers, and that's fine too, because like obviously I'm gay. But dating me is not quite that way. So you were in luck, my friend. I'm pretty forward with dating in general, on dates, I should say. Around dates, I've asked really important, wonderful questions on the first date to be like, is it worth it? Like, and you can definitely take notes because we're all in this together. Like we're all trying to just survive at this point because people are garbage. But I asked like the really important questions, like number one, how do you feel about Britney Spears? Because like that like kind of lets you know if they're a good person or not. Other hard hitters are, do you have a 401k that you contribute to? And if so, how long have you been doing that? What percentage are you at? Another one of my favorite ones that I've ever asked and been like, ooh, maybe that was a bit much, was what is your upwards mobility in your role like? Because you don't want to date someone who's like peaking, because that's like sad, unless you're dating like Kylie Jenner, in which case if that's peaking, that's fine. Like I'm not mad about it. But I haven't found a Kylie Jenner. It's quite the opposite, really. It's like a bunch of waiters who are like oh, I'm so busy. Oh, life is so hard. And you're like, oh, okay, cool, 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 cool. So, yeah, I will be here. I want this podcast to just be like us hanging out. I mean, not really having a conversation, but like me talking to you, being like your gay best friend or your, just best friend who you don't necessarily classify as gay, but I am. And we'll talk about the really important things like I've said it once already, I'll say it again, Britney Spears and the hashtag Free Britney movement. That's very important to me, obviously, just because she's a god. And we could talk about really fun things that are not controversial at all, like religion and politics and Black Lives Matters and um, I don't even know. Like, I want to have like friends on and we can like co host and basically just talk about like Real Housewives and how Kyle Richards bangs were garbage. And Lisa Rinna should just actually change her hairstyle at this point because it's been like 30 years and she looks so much younger with longer, nice, healthy hair. That's not the weird highlights. I love her, but that hair's awful. Um, and then I'll be interviewing people. So if you know of anyone that you think would be interesting, maybe like a hot person or someone who's like done cool things or has a cool job or like entrepreneurs, bloggers, like teachers, I'm probably going to have my siblings on. So like that would be fun. So those are ideas, and that's kind of the vibe for the whole podcast. It's like a really attractive guy hanging out, talking with you, talking about the important things, and we're just creating and growing. And I'm helping to, I don't know, take away from the horrible things in the world because I'm fucking crazy. So like, let's just focus on the stupid bullshit that like I find important. And we can just kind of distract ourselves for like a second for mental health and all of that stuff. But also, it's kind of like sometimes I'll say things that are really catty and I'll probably offend people. And, that's life. Like, just like build a bridge and get over it. So, a little about me then, since this is a date, but only I can speak. Um, my name is Mike. I have blonde hair and it's not natural. It's naturally salt and pepper, but I've recently been really into playing with hair color, as probably everyone is being like this whole quarantine COVID thing. So it's currently platinum, but it could be like pink next week or something. Um, I had started my career in marketing and advertising and digital marketing and like social media marketing and that kind of thing. And I currently work in software engineering. So it's like a little bit of a shift. And I started my own digital agency, which not a great time to start a small business. But I'm really just like looking for fun ways to like create and get back to like having a nice, healthy, creative outlet because I think that's important for me and I think it's important for everyone else to self-actualize to the point of being able to say that like this is good for me and this is what I want and going for it. So, I mean, this podcast, I feel like is part of that. And I was talking it out with my sister, who's also kind of like my personal guru. And I was like, if no one listens to this at all, like, it's fine. I'm still in the same spot. So, like, really, I don't care. I have nothing to lose. So, um, yeah, I currently live in Tucson, Arizona. It's like the super hot is probably not my forever, but it's a cool place to be for now. I love entertainment and media, and just kind of the world that I can create. And that's why I want to also create something like this, because everything's been kind of a cluster lately. And I feel like people on both sides of the political spectrum are garbage. And so I feel like we need an outlet and some other place to be able to go to talk about things that aren't as big of a deal, because in reality, I think most of the stuff is just bullshit and made up. Womp, womp, womp. So, not in like a Debbie Downer way, but kind of in like a nihilistic way where it's like nothing means anything. So just do whatever you want. Just don't like hurt people, because that's not great. Do whatever you want, but maybe try to spread positive vibes is kind of the goal. So that's kind of my goal. I like art a lot. I make collage art kind of like digitally. So that's been another fun outlet for me. And I'm vegan. So I feel like that's one of those like, how do you know a vegan is a vegan or something? Like those memes. It's like they'll tell you in like 5 seconds. Same thing with like CrossFit people. So I don't want to be that person, but I'll probably talk about being vegan at some point. Um, and I also have a lot of piercings and tattoos, or I have a growing amount, I should say. I'm an endurance athlete in a way. So I like have done my max distances. I did like an Ironman triathlon last year at the end of 2019, which I'm glad I got that in before the whole world shut down and races were like canceled. And I did an ultra marathon in January. I did a 50K. So like, which apparently an ultra doesn't mean just like 31 miles. It's like 31 to 33 miles or something. It's like a range, which is kind of a mean trick. And mine was definitely on the longer end. So that last mile, I was mad. But this is my first year because all the races are closed, like canceled and stuff, that I haven't had anything to train for. So, being that I've done triathlons and I kind of always started out as a runner, which we'll probably have fun episodes about. Um, it's my first year in a while that I haven't had to swim. So, piercings and tattoos, like you can't swim while you're recovering for, 2 weeks or something, or longer if it's certain piercings. So, this year I was just like, let's go for it. Let's go for the gold and pierce everything because I don't have to swim. And then I'm just going to get a bunch of tattoos because that'll be dope. And then whenever we can race again, like I won't probably be ready, but I'll look super dope because I'll be tatted AF. So this is kind of how I adult. Um, like my siblings have kids and they're like responsible and they're like real people, and like my other brother who's not doesn't have kids, he's like an adult and has a wife, and they like do things and have a routine. And then I feel like I'm kind of an adult in the sense of like I actively choose to to focus on other things, which is totally also fine. So, like recently, I've decided I want to start a shoe collection. So, I've been accumulating a lot of the Neiman Marcus sell off shoes. So, like, that's been a fun thing. So, I feel like life is, just kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And that's a saying I definitely just made up all by myself. And it's not taken from Forrest Gump. Um, but this podcast is going to be, yeah, me hanging out, talking with you, just being like best friends. We could talk about all the important things in life. I'll probably have my siblings on. Like, and we'll, you know, co-host, and I'll have my friends on, and I'll basically be like, you're at brunch with us, or we're at brunch with you, or however you want to position that. And we can interview people and talk about like, how do you start your business? Like, how do you run so far? Or like, what kind of workouts should we do? And I'm not probably going to beat veganism over your head, but like, maybe I'll change. Maybe I'll get really aggressive all of a sudden and I'll just, you know, start force feeding you all this information and you'll be like, just, what is the word? Enlightened. Let me just show you a lot of things and how to live your life. No, you don't want that. Um, but yeah, the whole point of this is to just like have fun, hang out, be like a healthy, fun distraction from the insanity that is the world, and basically just keep you around forever and we'll just be best friends. And I want to create like a little phone number once we have more followers, probably, but to have people call in, and it'll be like a little hotline, just like we had in like the 90s or 2000s or something. And you can leave me like a little message. And as long as it's not disgusting or really offensive, then I can play it. So if it's phone sex, like I'll probably just enjoy it personally. But if it's something that I can actually play, then we can share it. So like that'll be a fun concept. Thanks for watching and for hanging out. I feel like we had a really good first date, and I was like very inspired the whole time, and I would totally fart around you. I do, just forewarning, if you do continue to listen and stuff, I laugh at my own jokes a lot. So it's something that's going to happen probably forever until I die because I think that I'm hilarious, even when no one else does. And I feel like you should love yourself a lot and you should find yourself funny. And if you don't find yourself funny or like fun to be around, then you should probably get to know yourself a little bit better because you're going to be around yourself a lot. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. But I want to kind of end this with like a really inspiring challenge, First thing, which we'll probably have to have a whole separate episode on because I have a lot of things to say and a lot of thoughts on this topic. But I mean, maybe just dig into the Free Britney movement and sign the petitions and stuff because she's a god and we don't deserve her. And I also want to leave you with some basic white girl quotes. I like a lot of stupid things, like pointing to my obsession with the same music I listened to since I was 10. But yeah, I like writing basic white girl quotes. So I'm going to leave you with two today. It's like a twofer. The first one is kind of like just something that's like a real thing, but it's always do your best, even when no one's looking, but also when they are too. And another one that I found really inspiring was sometimes all you need is a little coffee and glitter. And then I'll give you another one. I think that this was from Paris Hilton. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm not 100% sure. But the other one was Stop Being Poor. And maybe that's controversial, but I just thought it was funny. And she obviously has never had to deal with that. So it's really inspiring coming from such a mogul. But obviously, love PH too. So I feel like there's so many things that we still need to unpack. We still need to learn about me and get to know each other better. But we're going to call it a day. We're going to stick a fork in it and we're going to cook it and stuff. So thank you I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.